Thank you very kindly, Mrs. Pringle. Your Excellency, Governor General Dame Louise Lake Tack, Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Dr. Baldwin Spencer, President of the Senate, Honorable Hazelyn Mason Francis, Speaker of the House of Representatives, the Honorable D. Giselle Isaac Arundel, members of Cabinet, members of Parliament, members of the Diplomatic Corps, Chairman of the Provincial Elders Conference of the Moravian Church, Reverend Dr. Courtroy Jarvis, other distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. If you are thinking 100 years ahead, educate the people. Ladies and gentlemen, when I became Minister of Education, I promised you and myself that I would see the completion of the construction of the National Public Library. I was cognizant that 4 of my predecessors would have presided over this project, and I was determined as the 5th Minister of Education that the buck would stop here. Today, I am thrilled to say that the construction of the National Public Library of Antigua and Barbuda is complete. I must admit, however, that the pride I feel as Minister of Education in this United Progressive Party administration is tinged with a bit of sadness and embarrassment that for 40 years, Antiguans and Barbudans have been deprived the right of the use of a proper national public library. 40 years, my people. Wrap your brains around that. 2 generations, and possibly more, have grown up in Antigua without the benefit of a proper public library. While we waited, things we never imagined we'd see in our lifetime happened. The Berlin Wall came down in Germany. The end of apartheid in South Africa. The release of Nelson Mandela and the election of South Africa's first black president, and incidentally, his passing. The election of the United States' first black president, Barack Obama. We saw Prince Charles get married twice. And Dolly, the sheep, was cloned. While we waited for 40 years for our public library to be rebuilt, the Chinese built a bridge 26.4 miles long, the longest bridge in the world, in 4 years. Qingdao Haiwan Bridge. Ladies and gentlemen, right here at home, we saw the construction and operation of Heritage Quay, and we waited. We saw the construction and operation of the public market, and we waited. We saw the construction and near completion of Mount St. John, and we waited. It was the best of economic times, fellow Antiguans and Barbudans, and still no public library. How could a country boast 8 to 10% growth in the boom years of the 1980s and 90s and not see the need to invest in a national library? How could a government talk about boosting tourism and develop that sector for international visitors, but neglect the very symbol of human resource development? How could a government talk about infrastructural development, about the construction of homes, about utilizing surplus funds from the boards of education, social security, and medical benefits, but yet not find the intellectual development of our precious children and young people a priority? Ladies and gentlemen, whenever we lament the weakness in literacy over the last 4 decades, we should look back at how culpable we are as a nation in not providing the appreciation for books, for intellectual stimulation, which is a symbol in a national public library. Any Antiguan and Barbudan 40 years or younger would not have known or had the benefit of a properly well-run, well-resourced national public library. And I say without equivocation, this is a burning shame, a disgrace, and a national travesty. However, today is an historic day. The National Public Library of Antigua not only lends its architectural beauty to the landscape of Victoria Park and the aesthetics of Hales Promenade, but more significantly, is poised to enhance the intellectual landscape of Antigua and Barbuda because it is a treasure trove of knowledge, light bulbs, and aha moments. The first lesson in history from this new library was born out of committee discussions a few days ago. While looking at the photographs of the old destroyed public library, we were able to witness literal snapshots of our town and culture in the late 1800s and early 1900s. Some of us found out for the first time that this road right here, which we have traversed over our lifetime, is named Hales Promenade. What a distinguished name. Ladies and gentlemen, I encourage you to use the correct name henceforth. And there are suggestions from that committee that we should recommend to the Transport Board that that be renamed the Public Library Drive. It was out of these very discussions, planning today's ceremony, that some of us learned the difference between a national library and a national public library. The National Public Library is yet to be fully operationalized, and great knowledge has already been imparted. What this library represents to Antiguans and Barbudans is invaluable. It is designed with the young, not so young, and the old in mind. There's a place especially for you, whether you are of the technological age or from the page-turning generations. Equipped with computers in every department, the World Wide Web of information waits on the other side of a few keyboard clicks. Though this has become commonplace to me, I never cease to be amazed at the wonderful wonder of it all. Now, all Antiguans and Barbudans will be afforded the right, not the privilege, but the right to the benefits of a modern public library. Some young people think that hard copy books are becoming obsolete. In my opinion, books will never become obsolete because not all books are available online. And as we know, sometimes technology fails. The adults who are not so technologically savvy, those who will never navigate their way through a Kindle or computer, will forever cherish the feel of a book in their hands, will forever relish that particular smell of aged and discolored pages, and enjoy the creative imagination and expressions of illustrations and book covers. What is sweeter than reading a book again just for old time's sake? Snuggling up with a book doesn't compare to reading from a tablet. When you fall asleep reading and the book falls out of your hand, it doesn't cost you a few $100s to replace. Books are indeed sacred. Our National Public Library is an inviting, comfortable, air-conditioned space, which will be an environment ripe with encouragement for personal edification. This library will be the meeting place of students working on group projects. It will be destination field trip for our preschoolers and kindergartners, opening up a whole new world of imagination, possibilities, and learning for them. They will be the generation who never knew life without a library. It will be second nature to them, as it ought to have been for my generation. Empowering themselves with the knowledge gained through books and research, we can expect greater achievements from them than those of us who achieved great successes with less resources. Ladies and gentlemen, in the last 10 years, education in this country has been made more accessible and has expanded beyond the walls of the classroom. The Ministry of Education, the Board of Education, the Ministry of Science and Telecommunications have worked hard to make the entire world a virtual classroom for our students. And I am proud of it, and you should be too. After all, these are our children, our future, And if not us, who? And if not now, when? They are bright and smart and innovative and should be groomed to stand brain to brain with anyone, anywhere in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, this government knows the value of education in the life of a person and the future of a country. There is nothing that as a people we cannot do. If we have the political will and civil will, Antiguans and Barbudans are unstoppable. Over the years, we have had many budding and accomplished writers. Won't it be wonderful when the shelves of this library showcase the work of our own Antiguan and Barbudan authors, poets, academics, historians? It will host the theses of homegrown people like you and me and Lowell Jarvis, whose thesis in university was on a cultural center encompassing a national library, very similar to the National Public Library. Just imagine that. The hearts and souls of authors and poets live on forever in the halls of national libraries. The points of view and intellectual food for stimulation of famous academicians and researchers lie in wait for the intellectually curious and hungry. Education, whether formal or informal, informs the masses, and this is a space for education. This library is open to the literary community. Our very culture must bounce off the walls of this library. Our voices must echo history throughout the halls with poetry and open mic and storytelling and such events. The rooms must come alive with book launches and book signings. Book clubs and readings and literary discussions should fill the adult reading rooms and the conference room. This is the Literary Arts Museum of Antigua and Barbuda, and we will claim it as such. We will own it, we will treasure it, and we will take care of it. We will maximize the use of this building because we should, and because we can, and because we waited 40 long years for it. Our National Public Library will be a literal literary haven for the reading public of Antigua and Barbuda. And we have come to know that that is the majority of the population. The civil work being done by the Ministry of Works and Transport is yet to be completed, but is being executed. Finishing touches like custom-made shelving and special furniture have already been shipped and are on the way to Antigua as I speak. These would have been here had it not been for some challenges with the weather, which the U.S. experienced over the winter period. This slowed the packers as some of the pieces had to be shipped from one state to another. As soon as these are in place, ladies and gentlemen, these doors will swing open in warm welcome to you all. Do not be afraid of it. Do not be a stranger to it. In local parlance, afuyu sobm, use it. For decades, the staff of the public library has been forced to work in conditions which have been less than favorable. Yet they still worked. For that, we can show our appreciation by a resounding round of applause for them. They too are very excited to move in and to put their very knowledgeable library skills to full use. The vote of thanks is yet to come, but I want to single out the efforts of the Ministry of Education's Jeanette Mason. From the moment she was assigned as coordinator of this ceremony, she has worked assiduously, morning, noon, and night. Jeanette, your dedication to any task you have been assigned has not gone unnoticed. Your commitment to our ministry reflects your commitment to your country, and the staff of the Ministry of Education and I thank you for your enduring dependability and for representing and representing well. Is Jeanette, I'm sure she's busy somewhere around, but Jeanette, can you please stand and be recognized? sitting way at the back. You're wearing flats so you can run and come and wave. Miss Jeanette Mason from the Ministry of Education. Give you a royal wave. Thank you. Also, I would like to place on record how very, very appreciative I am of the invaluable support of the Board of Education, which was at the forefront of the battle line of this project. The incredible stress and frustration of the oversight of this project did not cause you to throw your hands up in defeat, though I know you grew weary. Instead, the numerous change orders, countless completion deadlines, unbudgeted financial injection, and human and political obstructionists steeled your will to see it through to completion. You too, Board of Education, went above and beyond your scope of responsibility because you recognized the national need. You understood what being without a proper public library means. Please, a more vigorous round of applause for the Board of Education. We want to also highly applaud and commend the National Library Fund Committee, represented today by Vice Chair Dr. Austin Josiah, and the early work that they would have put in. Please, a round of applause for Dr. Josiah, Dame Yvonne McGinley, and the National Library Fund Committee. Ladies and gentlemen, I live and work for days like this, for moments such as this. I get great fulfillment in the knowledge that my beloved Antigua and Barbuda is making strides. As much as I promised that the buck would stop with me, today was made possible by countless Antiguans and Barbudans and friends of our nation who, through individual and organized efforts, worked to make this happen. This was in the making long before I came into office, and so I acknowledge all the previous ministers of education who would have worked on this project. My predecessor, Bertrand Joseph, Honorable Reuben Harris, Honorable Bernard Percival, Honorable Dr. Rodney Williams, and all of the staff members who would have worked on this project over the years. To all of you, I say that you exemplify the saying, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Thank you all of you who have contributed in ways big and small. This library is another building block in the development of our nation. Thank you.